if you get out and you hike and you like sprint up a mountain, you really get that taste of nature. And the boards do that. Hey guys, welcome back to the eSkate Chat podcast. We are coming at you live from a film shoot we're doing in Tasmania. I'm here with Nelson and Patch. The video we're shooting just came out last night, so if you haven't seen it yet, jump over and check it out on the main Evolve channel. Let's get stuck into it. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. Patch, you go first.
So my name's Patch. I live in London. I grew up in South Africa, and then when I was 18, I moved to Gold Coast where I met Maddie. And I love to skate. I do acting, and I like taking photos, and that's my life really.
That's a good recap. Nelson.
Yeah, short and sweet. Did you change your accent for the podcast? I feel
like
mate,
now I'm fully Australian.
You did change your accent.
Maybe I've got like a presenter voice.
Suddenly, he's not Patch anymore. He's someone else. That was nice though. I'm Nelson, Venezuelan. I've been living in Australia for just over 5 years, being e-skating for 2 years now, which is awesome. It's one of my main sports, I would say, these days. Used to be a dentist, dropped that to become a full-time content creator, and that's currently what I do. I do YouTube videos, I make videos for clients, and I do podcasting on the side as well.
If we circle back about 18 months, so you guys are my mates in my personal life. I wanted to do a film project. You both surf as well, so there was that sort of correlation. I knew you guys could e-skate, so I got you involved in a project. We went to Cairns. You can check the video online as well, e-skating in the tropics.
Such a good video.
And that was your first introduction to e-skate. Since then, you've both actually gotten boards.
Yeah.
How do you use your boards sort of in the day-to-day since you've had them? Or how's the progression of that been for you?
Yeah. Well, I remember when you proposed the idea of doing that video of Cairns. We haven't met back then. So we first gathered just to get to know each other and then to have a first go at the boards. We did that on the Gold Coast. And man, I just remember the feeling of it. Once you get on it and you start like accelerating, it was so fast, so responsive. And then, yeah, we just had a quick go at it. And
so good.
It was pretty easy to get a hold of it. Yeah. We had an awesome day just testing the boards, getting to know each other. And then we went to Cairns. And after Cairns, we realized the potential of the boards. Because that day we were just testing a little bit on the grass and then, going on concrete. But then during the trip on Cairns, we really tested the boards. So after that, I've just been in love with them. They can really help and enhance any adventure you have.
Absolutely. I mean, my board, there's not a day I'm not using it in London if it's not raining. And like I used to use it when it was raining, and then someone was like, "Don't use it when it's raining." So yeah, just anywhere I need to go, because I used to cycle everywhere in London. I just can't stand the tube. The tube's like this horrible public transport. So yeah, I'm always using it, and I remember that day well when we all met up. We like flattened the batteries, and we went all the way from somewhere like mid Gold Coast down to Kira, and then all the way back. And we were on the grass, we were on the sand, we were on the boardwalk, on the concrete. And it was such a good day, the day we met. And that feels like ages ago. Yeah. It was just
2 years. And that day, I think we did over 30 Ks or something riding. I can't remember exactly how many we did. But
we all flattened
our
the batteries,
first go, 30K on the board. We were so done. The legs were cooked by the end.
That wasn't my first time on a e-skateboard. My first time was in 2009. Like 10 years before in South Africa, there was this like shitty e-skateboard that some South African person had made, and I got one, and it was like, I think it cost about like 300 Australian dollars, but that was like so much money in South Africa. And like I tried it at like this flea market, and then my dad remembered like a year later and went and like got it, and I didn't get off it. I used it heaps. It had like a similar remote to the first Evolve Skateboard one, but like it was like a remote control car kind of thing. It was a bit bigger, and it had one chain, like a metal bicycle chain around, and it went so slow. But I loved it. It was heavy. I couldn't even pick it up when I was like 16. And but then I always like dreamt about it like being good again. And I never like was too keen on them because I was like, oh, it was good, but it like, wasn't that good, you know. But then when I did the GTR on that, I was just like, okay, this is what it needs to be. It needs to be light. It needs to last. It needs to be fast. It needs to have good suspension. Both wheels need to be going for that torque. And now it's just like, since that first time we tried it, I was like, I just have to have one of these things.
You touched on using it in London, right?
Yeah.
So London's one of the biggest cities in the world in terms of commuting, actually having to get around.
Yeah.
How do you see sort of that going against like when you were on the bike or you had to take a tube or you see other people on the scooters and whatnot?
Well, especially when I moved there, I was on a budget. Like I had no money at all and I was living right out in zone 4, which is a bit of the sticks and the edge of London. And what I would do is I would cycle to this train station in Ealing Broadway, which is zone 3. So I'd cycle a good couple kilometers, and then I'd get on an overground train, and I'd go to Marylebone to Paddington, and that was like an hour. And then from there, I would get off the overground tube with my bike, and then cycle around the city where I needed to go. If it was an audition, and then a job, and then a meeting, and then and I would just be sweaty and exhausted, and always be like searching for a place to like lock up my bike, and so stressed that someone was going to steal it. And I've had 3 bikes stolen in 4 years. And I'd still have to pay for that train, which was like £4 each way. And like I was on a real budget. And then so with the skateboard, like I've taken that skateboard like past zone 5 from like zone 1. I live in zone 1 now and I'm doing a lot better. But like, yeah, I've gone to Wood Green on that board. I've gone down to Clapham and back and then still had like 50%. And I'm not getting sweaty. I can take the board into auditions with me, and it's always a conversation starter. People in the audition are always like, what the hell's that? And I'm like, well, it's electric. And they're like, oh, cool. And like no one's forgetting me in the audition if I'm bringing in an Evolve Skateboard. And even jobs, like all the grips and lighting guys are all like so interested in it. And a lot of filmmakers know what they are. So I think it's just like such an addition to who I am in London. And it's all quite flat in London as well. So the battery goes quite far. It's just when it rains, it's a little bit of a dodgy one, but I risk it quite often.
So you're using it like a lot more in a practical sense,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
How do you go out and actually ride just for the point of the ride, or it's mainly all the commute?
No, I can never. Like, because I've been meaning to go and like get some cool content for Instagram of it, and it's just because London's just a fast-paced life. Like it's just like getting to work, getting to that, getting to this, and then meeting someone, and it's just so improvised. So with that board, it's just so dreamy. I have done one, like it was one Sunday, and I was like, let me get out to this green space I've seen on Google Earth, and I went out to it, and it was just a whole bunch of soccer fields, like back to back to back to back, and I just like really practiced going switch and practiced doing some skids on there, and it was great. But like it really is just commuting, but that's my own problem. Like I need to put more time in for me to have like a recreational use. But maybe because I'm commuting so much, it's like I'm having fun. My life is just so much better with it. Like
that's it. If you're on the board anyway, like it makes your commute fun, right?
Yeah.
Rather than like being on a scooter, you're just standing in a straight line until you're going to get there.
Yeah.
So if you're getting your fix anyway, you probably ride more than a lot of the people that ride leisurely.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Well, I did do that Halloween event in London, which was excellent. Like getting around that go-kart and interfacing with people who are really good on those boards. And a bunch of them are just not like surfers or young people or skaters. A bunch of them are like in their 40s, and they're these fit guys who just are smashing it. And I'm like not catching up to them, and I think I'm quite good. And like that was real fun. Like getting sociable with it is important. I think the times I've gone out on my own, I've gone more exploring and just been by myself. But if you go to an event, or you go to a go-kart, like something novel where you don't get to usually skate, like that was unreal getting around that. A go-kart thing's pretty perfect with the width and the length and the straights and the turns. I loved that.
Nelson, you're sort of the polar opposite in terms of where you live from London. You're beachside at Kira, one of the best surf breaks in the country. How do you sort of get around the board? What's your daily on it?
Yeah, it's funny that like the use you have is very different to mine, because I don't see it as commuting or anything. To me, my board is first a tool for work. As a filmmaker, I take so much advantage of it. I've used it in so many projects for both myself and clients. Like when you're thinking of getting that shot that is really dynamic and you have maybe someone either running or fast past action, you know, that's the type of shots that I will try to use my board and maximize that scene. So it's a lot of use for work, but then to me it's a lot of just enjoying, you know, like I'm done with work, and because I work from home, I'm just looking at that time where I can just get out and keep, you know, like carving and practicing surfing on concrete. I'm a big surfer. I've done it for years now, and now having the tool that I can use on concrete and still feel like I'm practicing for my surfing maneuvers, man, that's priceless. You know, like the carve is very similar to do a snap on a wave. So if you can like really nail down the movements and get your body to understand how to do a proper carving, that translates directly to doing a proper snap when surfing.
Yeah, the weight of the board is a big factor in that, because a skateboard's so light, you often get your foot on that back tail and you do like you're using, but a surfboard, you're getting pulled by the water and there's more traction, and with that you're using your shoulders a lot more on when you surf, and when you skate it's more hips and my feet. It's complete, and also having that just, you can go slow, you can put it in eco mode and then you can really go hard, or you could like go switch and put it in safe mode and just like get really good at like taking off, and like it's such a cool tool.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I describe it to people. To me, my board is a tool for both having fun and for work, you know.
Yeah. I've even tried a couple of times teaching people how to pop up before a surf trip to like Cornwall, Wales or something. I always take some real novices, and like that pop up is so important, not just to be able to do on flat land, but to do whilst a board's moving at a pace you can't control, because you don't know how fast you're going to drop into that wave. So you kind of go, okay, the wave's going, and then I've tried to get mates to learn to pop up on my, it's a lot smaller and more difficult, but if, you know, maybe we put something on top of it, like it's such a good tool to learn how to surf.
And even understanding balance as well. Like if you have never skated or surf or any type of board sport, getting an Evolve will help you tons to really understand the balance of your body, and when you do movements, where do you have to place the weight of your body in order to make that movement properly.
It's the perfect like learning.
I've seen both of you guys put up stories, like you're both very big at sharing the board with people, so you've had a lot of people get on it. Do you have any good stories?
Well, there's actually a guy that supports my Patreon and YouTube and stuff. And as soon as I made a YouTube video talking about the skateboard and describing how it affects my life in a positive way and all this stuff. And he's also a filmmaker, and he straight up went and bought one, used my code as well. It was super fun, you know, getting support, and then also someone that is having the same exact use. And he's also commuting a lot, so he doesn't have a car. And he told me how it has been a game changer while living in Brisbane, because he can get anywhere he needs with the board.
Yeah, any city with a good cycle network like that. It's just like, it's the fastest way to do it.
The cycling lanes is jokes. I go flying past the cyclists up hills. There's no hill in London that board can't ease. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even in Brixton, Herne Hill, that wood lane I went up, like, it's ridiculous.
Even my housemate, Tiago, if you're listening to us, stop stealing my board.
Does he?
Brother, there's not a single day that I come home and the board is positioned in a weird way that it wasn't there. I'm like, this guy, he took it again. Yeah, and he does. He the days I don't use it, I'm 100% sure Tiago is using it.
Yeah, I took my battery out and hid it under my bed.
No way.
No way.
Yeah, because my housemate, well, I'm not letting him take it. Like, he can take it when I'm in London, but like, I'm away for a whole month. So I was like, just before I left, I was like, fuck it, I'm taking the battery off.
No, I gave up. I let him use it.
As long as they charge it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
No,
nothing worse.
Mine's still quite
he's
new.
allowed.
Yes.
And it is, like, you're so stoked every time you use it. How can I not share it with him? So
true.
to me, it's like, it is, just use it, charge it, put it back in, don't scratch it.
Don't scratch it. So back onto why we're in Tasmania. We're actually at the most southerly accommodation in the whole of Australia. We obviously have a dynamic. The three of us sort of are friends outside of Evolve, but then we all have this shared passion, which is these electric skateboards. They fit into our life one way or another. Yeah. Doing a trip like this, like, what does this sort of mean to you, and how does it correlate to other things that you've done in the past?
My entire life, I've been into adventuring. I've always been the kid from the group that is looking forward to the weekend or whatever day off he has to just get out there, explore, being outside. It started, hiking. Then eventually when I found surfing, it was every weekend just looking forward to escaping and getting waves. Then since I moved to Australia 5 years ago, it was getting more into international travel, then traveling around Australia. And since we actually met in Tasmania. So this is kind of like our anniversary.
Yeah, friend anniversary.
Is that a thing?
3 or 4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So we met in Tassie. Now we're back again, and this time we're having even more fun because we have boards. We're ripping around Tasmania, and honestly, this is the type of things that makes me feel really alive.
Yeah.
This is the type of stuff
it's like a vitamin
that I live for.
Yeah, like I heard the quote vitamin N, vitamin nature the other day. And I was like, that makes so much sense, because when I'm stuck too long and with the lockdowns, I really was stuck in London for too long, and it's just, I don't know, something happens. I feel sick, and it's like a tightness. I don't know. And then just for a day, you get out somewhere a bit further and it changes. So it's so important, I think.
See, if we learn something big from 2020, all the events that has happened since then, is that we can't take freedom for granted. Every chance you have to just get out there with friends, especially, and for people like me that were immigrants, friends are family. Friends are everything to me. Are the people that have been for me in the lowest points, in the highest points as well.
Yeah.
So if I get to be out there with them, celebrating life, just enjoying the little moments and making the best out of the ordinary things, that's living. That's how you actually live a life to the fullest.
Especially if you're like unsure, and 2020, the COVID-19 created a lot of unsurety in a lot of people. And I read this thing the other day. It was a weird book. It was called can't remember, but it was like if you're not sure about where to go, and and things are so far ahead and they're unresolved, and all you got to do is look in front of you and just take one step, and then your next step. And often I find myself in London like trying to be an actor and trying to get work and not really knowing, I've done everything. What can I do next? Just go out and find some nature and just get out for like 3 days and come back. Like, that's your step. Go just look within, like mindfulness, health. Where am I? Get rooted with like vibrations from, go to Morocco or go to Portugal or go to Cornwall or get yourself back to Tasmania, to Australia. But yeah, I think it's like just to if you are someone who like is always in a grey city in a box working, which a lot of us have to be, and I find myself always battling that, like, should I just give up this dream of mine and come back to Australia? And when I am in Australia for a couple of weeks, I then start missing the opportunities that I've made in London. And I think, no, I love this theatre thing. I got to go back. And having that board, it gives me just a little taste of coming back out here. And I can't wait to get traveling with that around Europe, like get it to Greece or to Morocco or even just to Cornwall or Wales, and to get my vitamin N, like with my board out there.
And being here in Tassie, it's like a good moment for recalibrating yourself. Since we've been here in this cabin in the middle of nowhere, we've just been riding, just enjoying, just laughing. We're creating awesome memories in here. Virtually no distractions because there's no reception.
Yeah, there's nothing.
It's been
There's
awesome.
no electricity.
It's been very difficult to charge the boards. We have some solar panels on the roof, and then that goes to an inverter in the wall.
Yeah.
But if you plug in more than one board, it trips. So we can only charge one board at a time.
Oh, we've got Hayden's, so it's fine.
Yeah, it seems like we're getting through.
Yeah.
But we try and charge. We got to do the cameras and all this stuff. We've had to unplug them so we can plug in the podcast gear.
That'd be fun. I mean, we got so much riding done yesterday. Going up
it all adds to the story.
Luckily, the new models, the battery lasts longer.
Yeah.
So
and we
as
got
soon
the
as
beast
we
models.
have a charge, we know we can make even more out of it.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said about like breaking up the everyday routine.
Yeah.
Like it's not that you're not enjoying that daily grind, but removing yourself like physically from that situation.
So important.
It's just like breaking up what is becoming stale.
Yeah.
So like you said, when you go back to it, it's no longer stale. It's something fresh and you can be excited about it again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long to be in a different situation to reflect and sort of go back to that.
It's so important. I think even to add on that whole like getting out and finding your purpose in nature, I think like pushing your own boundary. So like when we're flying over those loose stones and you're wobbling and we're just like laughing together, that's like an extra bond within nature. Like you can come and just rest and meditate and do yoga, but if you get out and you hike and you like sprint up a mountain, you really get that taste of nature. And the boards do that. Like you're flying around a corner and you're skidding or you come off and it's you just tasting that nature.
We did have some good falls. So
We've had a couple good falls.
Yeah, Maddie
it
had a great
happens.
fall.
I've been involved in action sports my entire life, like mountain bikes, motorbikes, and the boards. And the adrenaline rush and the endorphins that releases. So a lot of people say like on the other side of fear is happiness.
Yeah.
Like if you don't experience something to wake you up, give you a little bit of fear. And that's when you can take the boards from that relaxing casual ride to pushing it a little bit and using it more like a actual sports vehicle.
It's an all-terrain vehicle. It's unreal.
Yeah. And when you're really sending it out, that's when that's when I get an endorphin hit anyway.
Yeah.
We should touch on that hill you rode up yesterday.
Yeah. So yesterday we went up Mount Wellington, which is 1,200 actually, because we did Strava meter elevation. And for 18.85 kilometers, what we did. So if you go check me out on Strava, you can see my stats. We got flagged as a vehicle because we went so fast up that hill. I put it on the road bike setting, but we've now changed that to the e-bike setting. And yeah, it was unreal. My back calf really started to get a little bit tight. But yeah, we got up in about half an hour and the board just got to the top at 3%. And yeah, it was unreal. Like such a cool feat climbing a mountain.
Yeah, the video came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the concept of it was, can you actually beat a road biker?
Yeah.
We assumed we could because we're electric empowered, but we do have other factors to deal with. Like we don't want the system to overheat, being under immense strain. There's obviously the actual battery capacity. We're going to run out of steam, and we just got there.
Yeah.
So
we're on pretty fast the whole way. Like I was chasing. It was like my average speed was 35.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we could have gone slower and had more battery, but then would we have beaten the time so much?
Mm-hmm.
It was about 10, 15 minutes quicker than the fastest road biker ever to go up there in 2013.
That's a long time difference. Like so much happens in 15 minutes.
Yeah. So it sort of puts that into perspective.
But just to compare to my old commute as well, where we just touched on how like I would always cycle around. Like it just shows how much better the board is than the bicycle. Because I mean, I'm smashing it uphill, and it's by 15 minutes. So it's. And
I promise you were less sweaty at the top of the hill than that road cyclist.
You were barely sweating.
I was just like my leg was just sore.
Just tired.
It's like, we are. It's like the thing about the Evolve skateboard. It's not exercise like some hard cardio, Muay Thai boxing or cycling up Tour de France hill. But there is something there with your core and your back and your shoulders, and there's a fitness to it. Because I do find when I've got my board in London, I would be exhausted after a couple of commutes, but now I can get anywhere.
But
I
also
think,
your muscles are in tension. Like they're engaged because you're trying to keep balance consistently.
Yeah, it's a different set of muscles, I think. And that's so good to then complement another form of exercise like Muay Thai or powerlifting or whatever it is that you do.
Well, that's probably going to do us on this episode. If you haven't watched it yet, jump on and watch that film we put out last night. We've had great times and sort of shared this story that we wanted to put out about friendship and sharing passion, making experiences, experiencing freedom and adventure. I'll see you all in another 18 months for the next one.
Yes.
Thank you for having us here. It was a pleasure.